Hello and welcome to Vintner's Vision, a show that's dedicated to bringing you the very best food and wine pairings that the Central Coast of California has to offer. I'm your host, Julie Holme, and you're watching the 4th episode of Vintner's Vision. Now, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our panel members. First, from the Paso Robles Inn, over here on my right, we have Chef Kevin Freiberger. Welcome, Chef.
Thank you.
And with him today, the bar and banquet manager is Ricky Hernandez. Welcome, Ricky.
Thank you.
And representing our local winery, Clayhouse Wines, we have winemaker Blake Kuhn. Welcome.
Thank you.
And with him, the marketing director for Clayhouse Wines is David Hance. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, first we're going to start with a little history on both these local businesses, get to know better about how they're so successful and what made them who they are today. We're going to start with Paso Robles Inn and speak with Chef Kevin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company?
Martin Resorts has been around for quite a while now. Purchased the inn in 1999. It's an old historic hotel. It's registered with the National Historic Hotel Association. It was built in 1891. A devastating fire took it down during World War II, and it has been restored ever since. And it's as good as it's ever been now. And Ricky and myself, along with our teams, are taking it to the next level with bar, restaurant, and the events that we hold. So we're, the future's bright, and we're working hard.
Yeah, you have a great location right there on Spring Street, downtown Paso Robles, across from City Park. You must get a lot of people in that just walk by and see your wonderful sign and the great stone building.
Yeah, the city of Paso Robles was basically almost built around the inn, and it's so old. So we have the nice little courtyard across the street and all the different wineries like Clayhouse now and everything with the whole downtown scene is really kind of amazing. It's like almost like Sonoma in a way now with the square. So we have people all over the place, whether it's in the hotel, the restaurant, or the bar. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And your coffee shop really reminds me of somewhere I'd go with my grandfather.
My grandfather used to like to go there as well, as sure as many grandfathers have. And it's kind of an old historic part that Martin Resorts decided to keep alive, and they rebuilt that and kind of brought it back. And it's a pretty unique thing to have in Paso as well.
Absolutely. It looks very old-timey. It looks fantastic in Paso. So, Ricky, if you want to tell us a little bit about the Cattleman's Lounge.
We have a really unique lounge area. We've really tried to stay with the historic aspect of the hotel. We're not a new trendy bar. We try to stay true to our roots. Into the beginnings of Paso, I get a lot of gentlemen that come in and they say they used to go in there with their dad and drink, cherry cokes at the bar. And it's prime location. The balcony in the summertime is always packed. You can get up there and see everything that's happening in the town square, whether it's Wine Festival or Pioneer Day or the Christmas parade or anything. It's kind of a staple in the community.
Absolutely. I've actually had drinks out there on the patio, and it's a really nice people watching spot.
Yeah. You can
definitely
kind of see everything that's going on.
Yeah, and then so on Sundays, you guys also do a champagne brunch.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of unique.
We got done with that this morning. We do all kinds of stuff with brunch. We have plenty of desserts, chocolate dipped strawberries. We have an omelet station, prime rib. We make daily or weekly specials with it. We also have piles of crab and shrimp and smoked salmon, and we like to do a crab stuffed avocados as well. That's a real big hit, and bottomless mimosas is always a nice thing. People like that.
Yeah.
So everybody wakes up at the hotel and they kind of meander on in and have some brunch, and we take good care of them.
Great. So you guys essentially do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all the 3 staple courses.
Yes, we do.
Fantastic. Well, we'll talk a little bit later about these wonderful dishes that you've brought. Thank you. But we're going to move over now to the winery, Clayhouse Wines, and we're going to speak with David Hance, and he's going to tell us a little bit about Clayhouse.
Yes, Clayhouse has a tasting room right in downtown Paso Robles at the corner of 13th and Pine, but We're actually based in a vineyard on 46 East called Red Cedar Vineyard, which is owned by the Middleton family. And some of the grapes there date back to the early 70s. Most of it was planted in the 1990s. But the Middletons, when they decided to start making wine in 2003, needed a name for their winery and seized on the name Clayhouse because there's a 1840s adobe on the property. So they thought, we've got an adobe here. What could we call this place? What could we call our wine? It's like a clay house or something. So they ended up calling their winery Clayhouse Wines. Started off very small, and we've gradually grown, particularly with some of the wines we're going to taste today, our Adobe Red Blend. So we're sold in 46 states now, so pretty readily found around the country, which is, something I think we can all be proud of for Paso Robles, where the wine's not only available here, but so many of them have been adopted by people all over the country and overseas looking for fine wine.
Fabulous. Yeah, and the downtown area for tasting rooms is quite popular. It's a great location you guys are in.
Yes, and particularly since our vineyard is so far out, it'd take you a long time to drive out there, but having a tasting room downtown gives us a chance to get people walking from the Paso Robles Inn, for example, and you can actually do a little walking tour around town and probably get, a dozen wineries, different tastes, and just walk back to your hotel.
Great, yeah, and you don't have to worry about drinking and driving.
That's
it just
right.
makes it very easy. What a great idea. So Blake, go to the winemaker now. Blake, if you want to tell us a little bit about the vineyards.
Well, it's a very large vineyard, about 1,400 acres. We also grow table grapes. We do a small amount of table grapes, about 400 acres. And just to give you kind of a size reference, the Paso Robles appellation itself has about 26,000 acres. So we're a pretty good piece of that number. We only use about 8% of the grapes off of our vineyard to make our wines, and we sell the rest. So as David mentioned, the Middleton family started off as grape growers and recently got into the wine business. So we're fairly young, but growing and have a successful brand. It's real nice for me because since I only use a small percentage of the grapes, I can really cherry pick the different sections of each block, for example. It's a very long east to west, and it also has a lot of elevation and different soil types. So there's a lot of tools that I can use based on the topography to get certain flavors that I want to express in each of our wines.
Fantastic. What a great situation to be in, to be able to pick and choose like that. Very nice. So I think we'll get a little bit into their history now, dig a little deeper into who Blake is and what made you become a winemaker. Where did the passion come from?
Oh, boy. I always go back to my mother. I hated to do dishes when I was a kid. And so to get out of that, I helped her prep food in the kitchen. And my brothers had to do the dishes. So I think as a young child, I was able to taste a lot of different things. And my mother would explain the flavors and how things went together. And she never did anything by a recipe. It was always by taste. So that's fairly typical, I think, for home cooks, where you're just throwing stuff in, a little dash of this, dash of that. So I think I got to learn a lot about flavors growing up. And I always worked in restaurants from high school through college. And I earned a degree in biology at UCSB. Mm-hmm. And I was working in the field of biology and also at night working at a high-end French restaurant in Santa Barbara, and became pretty good friends with the chef and the sous chef. And we talked a lot about food and wine. And we would usually end an evening with the chef walking across the street and grabbing a really nice French wine from his cellar and sitting down and having a little bit of food. So it wasn't uncommon to have a 1972 Margaux with a venison chop and some French fries and red wine sauce. So that kind of got me excited about wine, and I learned a lot about French wine. And then we'd have winemaker dinners, and I got to meet these wonderful winemakers and people in the wine industry. And I thought, this is actually a better fit for me. So I started taking some courses at Allen Hancock in Santa Maria. Mm-hmm. And from there, went and got a job at a very bottom level, sampling grapes, and I've worked my way up over the last, I've been in business now 11 years, and now currently working with Clayhouse, and it's really nice to be here on the Central Coast. I love it here. I have some roots in this area and also in the Santa Barbara region, so it's good to be home.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great story. We're really happy to have you here on the Central Coast. It sounds like you had a lot of experience, and it's helped you to craft these wonderful wines that we're going to be tasting in a minute. We're going to go back over to our restaurant and talk a little more with the chef, and we'd like to know what made you decide to be a chef. Where did your passion come from?
I got very lucky early on. I got connected with a classically French-trained chef, and he took me under his wing and basically went through culinary school over the course of 7 years and learned all the different sauce making and breaking down of the steaks and chops and the different animals and loins and all the soup making skills and how to run your food costs and labor, and so the business side as well as the artistic side. So I got very, very lucky in that regard and took to it from day one, and 21 years later I still love what I do, and we have so much wonderful wine and produce around here. It's either a winemaker's dream or a chef's dream, so it's kind of a little paradise of both. So from the Santa Maria Valley, all the way up with produce and grapes, it's you can just drive around the whole county, and it's bountiful of lots of great things for us to turn into our art form and our businesses. So.
Absolutely, that's a great point. We're very fortunate to be living here on the Central Coast, and for any of those joining us not in the area, we welcome you to come and visit. It's truly a magical, wonderful place.